Good evening, Richard here. As you know, with the crisis, this health crisis, this global crisis, we've had to cancel all live events, including the one in Kazakhstan. Obviously a massive disappointment, so here we are live on the internet. Now, this evening I'm going to be reading from a prepared text. The interpreters have asked me to do this because it makes life a little bit easier for them, and in these times we have to do everything to make things a little bit more efficient and easy for those people helping us. So, these are the things I want to say to you. Reports from international organisations, from investment banks and rating agencies are actively warning about a possible global recession and the emergence of another financial crisis. But economics doesn't have a special methodology to accurately predict when this will happen. The World Bank published its Global Economic Perspectives, Increased Stress, Limited Investment report in June. Weak investment, growth in emerging markets and developing economies results in lower growth in those countries and hinders sustainable development, according to World Bank experts. There's a growing risk of a slowdown in the major economies and a resumption of financial tensions, including a chance of an escalation of trade tensions. Growing debt limits the ability of EMDE governments to stimulate investments. The public debt in this group of countries is lower than in developed countries, about 51%. But this has grown by 15 percentage points since 2007. This is not a dangerous rate, but it is worth mentioning that the debt crises have previously occurred in multiple countries. So this should encourage caution in the future. The insolvency crisis will arise again if interest rates rise. The World Bank predicts that global economic growth will be 2.6% in 2020, while previous forecasts predicted it to be 2.9%. The growth will accelerate and reach 2.8% in 2021, if financial conditions remain soft in subsequent years. The slowdown has affected major European countries, Japan and the United States. China, which is an economic restructuring process, reducing its dependence on foreign markets, is slowly doing that as well. It's worth mentioning slow growth or a recession is a concern for the stability of the financial sector, and protectionist government policies have a negative effect in the United States, for example. Creditworthiness in the business sector is deteriorating. A credit crisis and the next recession are unlikely to appear next year, but the likelihood will increase in the coming years once the tax incentive effects arising from President Trump's tax reforms will I think I just said this, but China has both external risks related to the tariff rates being raised in the United States and domestic risk related to high corporate debt in sectors where profitability is declining. China's total non-financial sector debts exceeds the levels seen at the peak of the previous credit booms in other large EMDE countries. The authorities are effectively trying to reduce the economy's debt level by stimulating the economy with fiscal and monetary policies. The International Monetary Fund has published its annual Global Stability Report, which identifies threats to the stability of the global economy. The IMF notes that corporate debt in the US and the Eurozone is at a record high. Too weak monetary policy is a threat as well, since it contributes to the corporate debt growth, thereby increasing the risk of a future financial crisis. Bank capital indicators have improved in the euro area, but the potential losses from bad credit and the decreasing costs of government bonds in bank portfolios may result in some European banks and insurance companies requiring recapitalisation. China has a deep financial imbalance. Its authorities are trying to meet a difficult compromise between supporting short-term growth, countering external shocks, and holding back leverage through stricter rules. It seems impossible to reconcile these conflicting goals. The effects occurring on the New York Stock Exchange resemble the events which took place 12 years ago after the Lehman Brothers collapse. The indices lost 7% each at opening, and the situation failed to get better. Brokers also dragged Europe to the bottom. Italy's stock market lost the most in Europe, where indices fell by 17%. Besides this, a 15% decrease has been seen on the Latvian stock exchange, 13.5% in Brussels. The CSE 40 fell by 11.5% in France, Germany's DAX by 11.5%, while the British FTSE 250 fell by 9.5%. The indices in Europe fell 7% immediately after the listing start in New York. The situation worsened every minute. The fateful events abroad immediately affected the European markets, and the French, British and German exchanges collapsed, falling by over 10%. US bond yields are falling as well, but the dollar is not losing ground. This is confirmed by the assumptions made in recent days that the sharp selling phase of the American currency has finished, and now investors are assessing the market for those assets which will lose most economically in the COVID-19 crisis. Such panic on the exchanges is caused by the manipulations of brokers and traders. This is an indisputable fact. The wish to make quick money overshadowed the multiple financial scenarios in play. This is their main issue, since they do not work for the future and are not looking for a way out. The traders are actively trying to cope with the current issue, thereby contributing to the increase in the chaos. WatfordCorp.com is built on my own experience. I'm aware of the financial costs and do not believe in the stability of the current economy. That's why I always have my finger on the pulse. This is the only way to both predict and evaluate risk. Who will be responsible for the customer's financial loss on the exchanges? The current model has been long outdated. It does not justify even the short-term prospects, but people stubbornly continue losing their money due to the unscrupulous players. Watford LLC does not panic. I have managed to prove my experience and ability to work in order to reach the appropriate results. That's why our company's shares are growing dynamically, while other exchanges are actively depreciating. How is this possible? This has become a reality due to the company's new business model, which I have been personally developing for several years. The current model has been a real discovery in the investment field due to its lower risks and guaranteed dynamic profits. The global crisis of 2008 totally destroyed my capital. So I clearly understood the whole bankruptcy and one-sidedness of the joint stock company system at that time. It took me 7 years of hard work to create a secure and productive people-to-company model. The current model is flexible and built in, i.e. Watford LLC will never lose its own positions. Our new strategy showed itself most clearly today when the pandemic destroyed multiple companies. We managed to survive within such difficult circumstances and continued making profits. Therefore, we can conclude that no global financial disaster will cut the ground from under Watford LLC. The new model's basic concept is the building of direct business contacts. I exclude the intermediaries, as they are an unstable element, provoking price increases and threatening the company's stability. The result is that prices have become competitive, while the trading margins have increased markedly. We removed small companies and individual intermediaries from the interactive chain. Watford LLC works directly with each client. We do not need to hide behind illusory intermediaries. I guarantee the transparency for all our operations at Watford LLC, so I'm not afraid of working with my investors. I have been engaged in Watford LLC platform development for a long time. I had to monitor the market daily 24/7 in order to realise which industries to invest in. Important for me is a rather more serious investment for me is a rather serious process. It is one of the most important things in my life. I have put multiple efforts, time and energy to make the company successful. I'm interested in the company's growth and earnings, and thereby benefiting the planet. I'd like to share with you some compelling arguments which forced me to choose certain industries to invest in. So we'll talk about goldminebmd.com. Gold benefits from inflation, uncertain economies and armed conflicts as well. Gold retains its value, even within geopolitical uncertainty, being the most reliable investment form. Gold prices rose by about 6% due to the riots in North Africa and the Middle East and the fear of rising inflation. This was the largest monthly increase since 2019. Therefore, gold still remains the answer to the currency crisis. The historical purchasing power relationships of various currencies and gold confirm that statement. Investments who bet on gold at the end of the 19th century had to wait almost 30 years, but their investments grew significantly to exceed their original purchase value during the hyperinflation of the 1920s. In recent years, growing demand in emerging economies has increased the global demand for gold. The demand will continue to grow as the wealth does. Gold is the most valuable wealth storage method in Asia. The demand for gold will grow, and both economic and population growth development. Note that a weak dollar, a downgrade or a large budget or trade deficit may result in an increased demand for gold as the way of avoiding inflation, the effects of inflation. Most of the gold is transferred to the central bank's warehouses due to the certainty of long-term investment profitability. Central banks are starting to exchange less reliable paper gold for physical gold bullion. History shows that gold is a great defense against inflation. The average real yield of the Dow Jones Industrial Average was 12.33%, compared to 130.4% for gold over the last 5 years, due to the high inflation in the United States. There is no doubt that gold is a good protection method against inflation, due to its small physical size and its preservation as an exchange medium value for the universal currency. The history of gold has shown that stock prices and gold fluctuate independently of each other. Thus, you may get higher returns with less risk by adding gold to your investment portfolio. The next guaranteed profit growth area is renewable energy. in particular nmwenergy.com. This is undoubtedly one of the most popular sources, being actively used in multiple countries. We tend to use gas, oil and coal every day, and there is a risk of losing these, to be losing these after a while. The date when current energy sources will run out has been known for a while, but scientists are increasingly warning that this may happen in coming decades. That's why other energy production forms have been found. Therefore, it has become so important to strive to use renewable sources. Save those resources which may run out and take care of the environment. The renewable energy sources list includes wind, water and solar. The proper use of these natural resources allows us to obtain enough energy to meet society's needs. People are looking for ways to use them in some other fields, as well as on an industrial scale. Why is it worth using renewable energy? There are lots of reasons, but environmental concerns is the most important. The whole environment will suffer if we continue to use natural gas, coal and oil. NMW Energy sells electricity generated through the use of powerful wind turbines. Besides this, the company is engaged in the sale of wind generators and the installation, and operates even in densely populated cities. The popularity of this energy generation method is gaining momentum every year. Because users can already see the benefits of alternative energy sources, states are backing projects to move both industrial enterprises and private clients onto alternative energy. Our planet and its ecosystems have become the victims of plastic's success. About 79% of the used plastic is not sent for recycling and goes to landfills or ends up in the general environment, including the oceans. Scientists have warned that what is happening to plastics is, and I quote, an uncontrolled experiment on a global scale. Another 12 billion tonnes of plastic will end up in the trash, and hence the environment, by 2050. Given that 8 million tonnes of plastic and other plastics are sent to the oceans every year, plastic will become major material in the oceans by 2050. 99% of seabirds eat plastic while searching for food, fish. It is estimated that there are currently 51 trillion plastic particles in the seas and oceans, which is 500 times more than the stars in the Milky Way. There is plastic everywhere, in every ocean, even in the distant Arctic. About 300 billion plastic waste particles are floating in the Arctic Ocean. Some plastics have toxic properties and may interfere with the proper functioning of hormones when ingested by animals. They can act like a magnet, attracting other toxins and pollutants from the ocean, even if they are not toxic in themselves. Some plastic types contain such compounds as bisphenol, which is dangerous to human health and can cause lots of diseases. It's worth mentioning that all of this pollution has rather unpleasant consequences. For example, scientists have discovered dozens of different materials, such as nylon, polystyrene, in mackerel. Today's fish has ceased to be as healthy as we tend to think it is. The world has started to complain about the issue, and that's why the United Nations organization has declared war against ocean plastics. 30 countries have already joined the Clean Seas campaign, including the United Kingdom, France, Canada, Indonesia, Sierra Leone, Brazil, Norway and Italy. This is a campaign, the goal of which is the elimination by 2022 of the source of plastics able to cause ocean pollution. including limited the use and therefore the production of disposable items such as plastic bags. EDVrecycling.com receives support from both individual investors and major global companies and even government agencies. We are fighting for the health and cleanliness of our planet together, and I am sure that we will win the war with plastic. We care about the future of nature and human health as well. People will be more attentive and care about their own health after the coronavirus pandemic. The development of medicine and the search for new methods are the main goals of mankind. Coronavirus has clearly demonstrated how helpless we are in the 21st century in tackling a pandemic. We must make every effort to avoid this in the future. Watford LLC pays special attention to marijuanadiet.com, which is engaged in development of innovative treatments for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease and other neurological diseases as well. The medical field is both a clear perspective for humanity and a stable ground for investment. Medical cannabis market is already worth over $340 billion US, according to analysts. This is the greatest impact in the United States, where an increasing number of states are legalizing marijuana for medical use. It is estimated there will be 18 such states by 2022. This means that the legal purchasing of marijuana will bring huge profits to the US economy. The annual cannabis sales market in the United States is about $50 million. Of course, the US is just one example of an economy able to benefit from the current activity. We may expect a constant proportional increase in marijuana sales, given that currently more investors are investing in hemp companies. It is estimated that medical cannabis sales will increase to about $40 billion US by 2021. The result is almost 4 times better than what we had expected back in 2018. It just shows how rapidly the hemp market is growing around the world and that investment in it is becoming more profitable. I've been reviewing the statistics and tracking events for a long time, and we've decided to invest in a new company, Cronos. Based on our current calculations and experience in investing, the company is one of the best companies involved in diverse laboratory research. The company has a market capitalization of $2.5 billion US and announced a sales increase from $3 million in 2017 to $12 million in 2018. Cronos, guided by Watford LLC, will focus on vaccine and drug development. Please note that the Cronos purchase is a comprehensive investment because the current company has a positive reputation in the laboratory services market. In addition, the company is certified and has a large background in cooperating with government agencies and global giants in the field of medicines. The company is developing a vaccine against the current infection and is making notable strides in this direction together with scientists from around the world. Active drug developments for cancer patients based on medical cannabis are taking place together with marijuanadiet.com. I relied on 5 main components when creating the Watford concept. Reliable insurance, stable profits, guaranteed safety of funds, transactional stability, and flexible, embedded, interactive model. We conclude mandatory asset insurance among the world's among the fund's preservation measures. Consider me a reinsurer, but Watford's subsidiarities shares are insured by 4 different world-famous insurance companies. I try to convey to our investors that Watford is an open company. We provide all possible documentation in the public domain for review. Therefore, we have a chance to express ourselves on social networks, forums, and other platforms as well. A lot of specialists who selflessly followed such a product creation idea were involved in the Watford operational setup. We're proud of the path we managed to journey on and wish to talk about Watford publicly. Large-scale leader events are being developed for this. They will soon take place in Europe, Asia, Latin America, namely Kazakhstan, Spain, Indonesia, Thailand, Dominican Republic and Portugal. In July 2020, we are going to launch a new information portal, allowing us to assess Watford's prospects and opportunities. I sincerely want our shareholders to have the most comfortable conditions for interacting with us. So I try to make financial transactions easier. The Watford platform celebrates its birthday in August 2020. We prepared a special gift for this exciting and solemn occasion. Negotiations with MasterCard Corporation related to the development of in-wallet corporate bank cards, which have the Watford logo and showcase our corporate colours, are actively taking place. This step will bring us closer to allowing quick direct transfers from MasterCard to the platform and vice versa. The in-wallet payment system has proven itself in fast money transfers. Experts say that the current system will grow into a fully fledged competitor for Bitcoin and advanced cash within a couple of years. We must definitely mention pre-order while talking about innovations and developments. Venture capital is the investment method for companies in their earlier stages. Venture capital is a rather complicated way to do this. Large amounts of in-depth launch analysis, risk assessments, the potential for growth forecasting at a given time, and lots of other factors are required to determine whether to invest. Each pre-sale is a way of project financing requiring certain or undefined amount of money. Thus, the basis for the idea is a co-creator team, which will be demonstrated later in the industry conferences. Our main benefits when implementing pre-order are: 1. An integrated approach. We do not just take the basic idea but evaluate its likelihood of success at the initial concept developmental stage. Thus, the idea turns into a fully fledged business project with a competent assessment of all circumstances. 2. The idea. The idea may affect the price immediately after its emergence, of course, as well as later project stages depending on the originality and performance. Multiple projects are often based on similar ideas, so you need to find a project which introduces something new and fresh to the market. Watford pays particular attention to public health issues. Medicine has always been developing and will always be developing. Medical marijuana has proven its solvency as an investment idea. 3. Reliability. Attention should be paid to the support, for example, of consultants or companies with the project collaborates with, in addition to checking the project's creators. Watford's new direct engagement model eliminates intermediate links and works directly with the investor. This is the most reliable guarantee in the market today. Watford employs experienced and time-tested lawyers. First priority for investment platform creation was the correct payment of taxes. Watford will pay the tax on your behalf if you invest through the website. This means that each taxpayer in this situation is an investment fund, but it is calculated on your profit basis and paid out of your money. However, be sure to note that a tax liability arises when you decide to withdraw accumulated money. Profits are not deemed as income while they are assets, therefore tax will not be paid on them. If you decide to withdraw your profit, you will get money from the assets after taxes are deducted, and you will not have any obligations to the tax authorities. This is the most convenient and safest way for you and every private investor, since you do not have the risk, for example, of an incorrectly calculated tax rate. It is worth mentioning some features of the investment side in a taxation context. First of all, a tax rate of a fixed amount is calculated based on the income minus the cost of receiving it. The rate is calculated on profit only. Openness is a desire to learn with one of the fundamental Watford's principles. That's why the following significant events in the investment world are specified in our schedule for 2020. Okay, 1. September the 30th, 2020 to October the 3rd. That's Berlin, Germany. 2nd, October the 26th, 2020 to October the 29th, Prague in Czechia. 3. November the 12th, 2020 in Warsaw, Poland. 4th, December the 1st, 2020, Moscow, in Russian Federation, of course. 5th, December the 3rd, 2020 to December the 7th, that's in New Delhi in India. And 6th one, December the 12th, 2020 to December the 13th in Pune, also in India. So those dates, they're the final things that I would like to say to you in this presentation. And now just wait for some questions to come in, which I hope I can answer for you. Right. We've got some coming in. They're coming in quite quickly, so just bear with me a second, and when it settles, I'll take the one off the top of the list. I've got a couple of just saying thank you for us. Right, that's right. Here we go then. We've got Mike, who's asking us, why did Goldmine BMD's domain belong to the dog kennel? Right. I'd like to make it clear that the website is only an information resource. Therefore, it serves to provide the company's data. It's commonly known that this website really belonged to the kennel, but there's nothing strange about that, since it is just a website. This is not an online company, but a traditional business, able to operate, without a website. We use this website to ensure convenient interaction between customers and shareholders. The Goldmine company itself has existed since 2012. There's legal confirmation of this, namely documents for each registration year, which are consistently re-accredited in Australia. Right, we have one from Robert. Whether additional shares will be issued. No, we're not going to issue additional shares. Besides, we're not going to carry out a share split. It's extremely important for us to maintain the value of our shares and the number initially issued. Um, there's one from Kevin. Can coronavirus be harmful to the business? I'd be a liar if I told you that we are completely immune to coronavirus. No, the whole world is suffering from the current problem, and we are not an exception. But pay attention to one important point. Our business model was developed immediately after the crisis of 2008. We understood that that crisis, that all crisis is an inevitable process that should have started sooner or later. We were ready even then for the markets to collapse, and the current situation very well demonstrates the effectiveness of our business model. At the moment, Watford employees work remotely, but this will in no way be reflected in the work of our online platform. Global markets are already suffering from huge financial losses, and this is only the beginning of a global crisis that will lead to changes in the global economy. Subsidiaries operate as before. We did not stop the production of cannabis-based products. We continue providing electricity sales and service. While the latest reports show that electricity consumption in the residential sectors has increased significantly worldwide due to the fact that people are in self-isolation. We also continue to conduct gold mining in mines that are in fact isolated from major cities and contacts with the outside world. Of course, in poor countries such as Haiti and India, we continue to collect plastic because our main collectors, this is the only source of income, while the demand for recycled plastic is higher than ever. Let's see another question. Question from Erlan. When did your business model implementation start? The current idea came to my mind back in 2006 when I was actively working with the financial markets. I was dreaming there would be nobody that was able to earn money from the air from the very beginning. Initially, there should not have been, but people are always striving to look for loopholes in order to earn money, and I highly appreciate only the hard-working and honest people. Therefore, in 2006, I dreamt of implementing a business model that I would be able to destroy the boundaries between product consumers and manufacturers. Just imagine for a minute that you could drink coffee, which had just been plucked from the coffee bush, or drink juice direct from the tree, or maybe eat meat that had been running around in a field just half an hour ago. This is the philosophy of people-to-company business model, a lack of intermediaries, which degrade the quality of our lives. Michelle Wilson asks for how long will the business model work? It's difficult to say, since that it is impossible to be sure even of tomorrow due to the recent events. No. But I'm the holding director. People tend to invest millions of dollars in our business, and I can't relax and go with the flow. Our holdings are staffed by large numbers of analysts, financiers, lawyers, and many other highly qualified employees. Officially, I may definitely say that our business will work while people still need electricity, while gold still has value, as long as the world community actively pollutes the environment, and while there is still a need for healthcare. Therefore, today, I can't see any limits to our work. Let's take another one. Let's see if there's another one coming in. Here we go. Tim is asking, how solvent are the subsidiaries to pay such dividends, and why did you decide to pay dividends every week? Well, our audit should answer this question, where we comply with applicable US laws and conduct an open audit of our earnings. Each shareholder has access to our company's financial statements, and each may analyse them for himself and decide how solvent the business is. Another Robert. What can you recommend for those people striving to save their money due to the global crisis? My personal professional advice is to fix the rate by investing your money in a business bringing US dollar income. Due to the global growth of the dollar in value and the depreciation of other national currencies. I don't necessarily mean this should be in our holdings, but as an experienced financier, I do not recommend keeping money that is depreciating every day and becoming worthless pieces of paper. James McCall, is that how I pronounce your name? Just asks, tell us more about official employment in your holding. Well, each shareholder has a chance to officially join our holdings. We've developed a universal labour contract valid anywhere in the world, even the Arctic and Antarctic. You need to be a shareholder, have your own, albeit not large, joint stock company, and send us your resume together with a document proving your identity. Then all the candidates are accepted for a trial period up to 3 months. Then we decide whether or not we'll continue our cooperation. If yes, you start to get an official salary. It varies from $1,000 to $5,000, depending on your region of residence. Catherine Turner is asking, why do we pay dividend taxes? I say that's a bit of a strange question, but well, why do we pay taxes? The answer is obvious. It's because it's the law. There's not a single legal income source in the world that is not subject to tax. All people should earn money, since money can't be provided without labour. All financial flows of our holdings and its subsidiaries go through a rigorous audit in accordance with all US laws. That's why, even if you're not a US citizen, you pay income tax in the country in which you earn it. I think possibly I've missed one here. Bear with me a second. Ah, right, okay, there's a chap called Bill. Bill's asking, is it possible to get certificates by mail? I'm supposing you're meaning old-fashioned snail mail documents in the post. We decided to minimise the amount of paper in our companies. This also applies for paper certificates. They're quite old-fashioned due to latest events in Australia and many other regions where forests have burned. Amanda is asking, may I visit the Seattle office? Yes. Maybe it's a little bit difficult in the current crisis, but our office is always available for visits. It's recommended to make an appointment in advance, obviously, since I may be in another state or at a business meeting when you come. But yeah, therefore we need you to submit a request and discuss the conditions with our employees and everything. The people responsible for public relations, if you want to come and visit the office, yeah. Bill, we've answered. James. Let's. Right, okay, let's take this one from someone who just describes himself as an investor. He asks, or she asks, why does the time for which dividends are transferred from personal accounts to in-wallet cards always differ? And why does it take so much time at the weekends? Well, when a person wants to purchase shares, he will encounter a number of rather complicated procedures that must be completed. The person needs to open an account with a broker as well as an account with an American bank. Of course, it will take several weeks while providing a huge amount of documents that brokers and various intermediaries will ask for. We have simplified this process as much as possible. When registering for a shareholder, five investment and one main accounts are opened immediately, which can be used at any time. Accounts are activated immediately, and after verification, all restrictions are removed from the accounts. When making a transfer from the investment account to the main one, the payment system automatically deducts taxes according to the country of residence, after which the partner banks must confirm this transfer. For this reason, dividends are not received. They're not received on the main account at weekends. Right. Next one I think is from John. Well, I think he's John in Texas, or not John, Texas. But anyway, what's he asking? He's asking, what is the reason to choose in-wallet, but not another payment system? Because the business concept itself was conceived for American consumers, and it was convenient to use in-wallet system in America. After that, it was a huge surprise for us that our business went so soon beyond the United States and is actively popularized in other countries. So yeah, that it was an American thing. Elena T is asking, a card expiration date is specified on the in-wallet card. What does it mean? It's got an expiration date, yes. You will need to go through a repeat verification process, and your card will be reissued for the next 4 years in order to extend your in-wallet card. Simple as that. Let's go to Roland Jamie. Does the share provide dividends only during the current year? What will happen to it in the next 365 days? Shares do not have an expiration date. They are unlimited, i.e. they will bring you a lifetime income if you never sell them. The 365 days is only the period after which you can sell the shares. This does not mean that shares are not valid for 1 year only. You may sell the shares in a year, or in 3 years, or in 10 years. William is asking, what assistance does the holding provide for office opening? Our holding provides financial support in the form of rents form. Besides, we provide salaries to the representative, which he may spend for the representative office. Let's see, I'm looking for one that we've not had. Mohammed is asking quite simply, how legal are you? Very. We obey one of the most stringent financial law systems in the world. You are aware of America's attentive attitude to finance-related details. Our holding company and our subsidiaries all have the required registration documents. We pay income tax in the USA, and we have our official headquarters in Seattle. Emma is asking, how often will such conferences take place? I do not have a clear schedule at for the current conferences, and all future meetings will be announced in advance. Oops. Thanks you all for being so patient with me as I flick through this this list of questions, looking for ones that I've not answered so far. Azamat is asking, why are global stocks falling in price while ours are growing? Really, it's as simple as this. Because we're not related to stock trading. Lots of people did not believe that we would succeed. They were sure that our system was not perfect and that we could not compete with those old business models. But the crisis has changed their opinion. Those who worked according to the old business model have suffered from huge financial losses. Now the number of companies switching from P2C model is growing rapidly, which is the most important indicator of the success of our current model and its main advantage over other business models. Right, I think that's about all of them. If I'm not saying any more, that's I'm thinking that's our time. Is that okay? Well, ladies and gentlemen, investors, thank you for joining me this evening. I'm sorry it couldn't be in real life, but you all understand current circumstances. So, good evening and farewell.